Thanks for joining us today. At City Life, we have one purpose, making it easy for people to say yes to Jesus. We believe that today's message will empower you to do exactly that. But remember that church is so much more than a sermon you listen to. It's a living, breathing community that we invite you to be part of. We hope to see you this Sunday morning here at City Life.
Word people. How many of you are like word people? You just like words. You like words. I learned a new word last week. Some of you that play Words with Friends might already know this word. And if you don't, I bet it's a good pointer on Words with Friends. Does anybody know what a funambulist is? A funambulist. There you go, Words with Friends. Dwayne, you better grab that word before my husband does. Playing Words with Friends. Funambulist. Anybody know what a funambulist is? It's a tightrope walker. Isn't that funny? It's a tightrope walker. And some of you might know, it's a what? That's very good. It's a combination, my husband says, of the word fun and ambulance. Which, considering the activity, very much applies. One of the most famous tight walkers from about like the 1850s, kind of in that era, was Charles Blondin. Anybody heard of Blondin? Blondin, that wasn't his real name, that was his stage name. He was crazy. He is most famously known for having crossed the Niagara Falls on a tightrope over 300 times. And he wouldn't just cross, he would cross and do ridiculous things. He would walk backwards. Once he walked with a sack, like a gunny sack, over his head and body. He refused to train with a net. He said it just prepares. It's just if you prepare for disaster, it's going to happen. But one of the things, he did crazy. One time, halfway over, he stopped in the middle of the tightrope, sat down, lowered a rope down to the Maid of the Mist, which is the touring boat that goes like right under the falls, and he hoisted up a bottle of wine from the Maid of the Mist, had a glass, and then continued on to the other side. Oh yeah, it gets even better than that. Another time, he packed a little portable stove and cooking utensils on his back, stopped halfway, made an omelet, and lowered it down to the people on the Maid of the Mist boat. This guy is like crazy. 300 times he crosses. He crosses one time. There's a lot of different variations of some of his feats, but one of them is this one time he crossed pushing a wheelbarrow. And he gets to the other side, and by this time, the crowd is like going nuts. They're like, Blondin, you're awesome. You're amazing. You're the best. You can do anything. And he's like, how many of you think I can cross with a man in the wheelbarrow? And everybody goes, you can do anything, Blondin. Absolutely you can. And then he's like, get in. And nobody got in. Would you? Everyone got all excited about the idea, but nobody wanted to do it. And how many of you can relate? We're kind of like that with a few things in life, aren't we? Like getting in shape. We have a weird relationship with certain things in life. We like the idea of getting in shape. We might talk about working out. We might talk a lot about it, so much that people actually think we work out. But we actually are too tired or too busy to actually work out. Come on, isn't this true? We like the idea. We have a weird relationship with things like getting out of debt. We like the idea, but we don't quite get around to doing it. Or we like the idea of getting organized, but we don't. Or we like the idea of adulting, but we don't actually get around to doing it. Isn't this true? How many of you know somebody like that? We have a weird relationship with growth. Case in point, Teletubbies. If you are a parent that has children and you have not become acquainted with Teletubbies, don't. Just don't. Don't go there. Don't expose your children. It's horrific. But come on, isn't it true? We have a weird relationship with change. We have a weird relationship with growth. We like the idea of it, but we just kind of don't want to do what's necessary to get there. Come on, how many of you grown-ups, I don't know if you remember how excited you were about getting your first apartment? I can do whatever I want. I can stay up as late as I want. I can leave the dishes on the sink, out on the sink all week long. I can drink milk right out of the carton in the refrigerator. I can have friends over at any time of the night I want. I can sit around pantless as long as I want. I can do whatever I want. We got so excited about it, but then we started to do the math. And we added up rent and electricity and groceries and cable and all the other things that go along with getting your own place. And we decided, I'll just stay at home and mooch off mom and dad's groceries, cable, and electricity. Isn't it true? Some of you are like, this is no place for shame. We will not make you wear the cone of shame. We like the idea of growth, but sometimes it's hard to do what's necessary for growth. We have a weird relationship with growth. Anybody honest? It's true, isn't it? Hence our series, Leaving Neverland. How to grow up without growing old. I think sometimes we're scared to grow up because what we see on the other side in grown-upville is boredom, is sitting back on your rusty dusty, just kind of cruising through life, not really anything exciting. But growth, you know what? We have a weird relationship with growth. And you know, in this series, we're going to look at leaving Neverland, leaving the place of, I just want to have fun all the time. And can't we just have happy stuff all of the time? And can't it just be just easy all of the time? We want to leave that place because there's something so much better than Neverland. There's something so much better on the other side. And, you know, for those of us who are Jesus followers, sometimes this whole weird relationship when it comes to growth, sometimes it translates over into our spiritual life too, into becoming like Jesus. I mean, who doesn't want to be like Jesus? Just think about it. Who doesn't want to be more compassionate? Anybody want to be? I wish I was more compassionate. I wish I was more kind. Who doesn't actually want to have more patience? Because not having patience gets us into trouble, doesn't it? Who doesn't want to always be at peace? Who doesn't want to make a difference? You know what? Who doesn't want to be like Jesus? These are awesome qualities to have. And you know what? Even if you are not a Jesus follower, you know what? You've probably met someone who is real, true, blue, genuinely generous. They're kind, they're considerate. They're the kind of person that actually make you feel like the world, like you were the only person in the world when you're with them. How many of you know people like that? When you're talking to them, it's like nobody, and they are just like so focused on you, and they are encouraging you, and their words are building you up all the time, and they just continue to speak life, and you go away from that being with them, even if it was like for a few minutes, and you feel like, I can do anything. I can take on the world. How many of you know people like that? How many of you would like to be that person? Yeah, who wouldn't want to be the type of person that everybody says they are amazing? See, we like the results of what those kind of qualities bring to our life. We like how it makes us feel. Come on, it feels good when you are generous to others just for the sake of being generous, isn't it? It feels so good to be, when you have actually shown genuine compassion to somebody, there's something in your heart that happens that it's really hard to find another substitute for that. Isn't this true? Like, we like the results, those qualities, how they make us feel, and what they bring to our lives, even what they make others say about us. We like the results, but we have a weird relationship with growth. And sometimes we don't want to do what's necessary, because how do you get those qualities? How do you get the qualities like generosity? How do you get the qualities like kindness, like compassion? They don't come through genetics. They don't come through personality or, anything else. They come by getting in the wheelbarrow. You got to get in the wheelbarrow. You got to get in the wheelbarrow. Everyone say, get in the wheelbarrow. Get in the wheelbarrow. We believe in growth. We believe. If I was to say, how many of you think it's really important that you keep growing in life? We'd all go, absolutely. Because when you stop growing, you start dying. That's the only other option. There's no stasis in this world. You're either growing or you're dying. That's the way it goes. We think it's important to grow. Change is important. How many of you would like to go to the same church after 50 years? Nothing has changed. 50 years from now, we're still singing Wonder. Oh, and your clapping isn't any better either. Back has gotten worse because we can't quite hear like we used to 50 years ago. Come on, change is important. We all agree. Growth, change, progress is so important. We believe in those things, but a lot of times we shy away from how to get there. We don't want to do it. And you know what? I want to look at a passage of Scripture, what Scripture teaches us or tells us about growth. And we're going to look in Hebrews. Hebrews we don't know who the author was, but it was written by an author who was writing to Jesus followers who at one time, when they started following Jesus, they'd been so excited about following Jesus. It was like, Jesus, you're awesome. Jesus, you can do anything. Jesus, you're amazing. And then Jesus said, get in the wheelbarrow. And they're like, this isn't so fun anymore. And following Jesus, what was really fun and exciting and easy, all of a sudden, now they were kind of like being thrown to the lions. They were losing their jobs. They were being thrown in prison for something that they'd been excited about a few months or a few years earlier, and now it wasn't so exciting. And I want to read in Hebrews chapter 12, starting in verse 6, and we're going to read in the Message version. You can follow up on the screen with me. It says, my dear child, don't shrug off God's discipline, but don't be crushed by it either. It's the child he loves that he disciplines. The child he embraces, he also corrects. God is educating you. That's why you must never drop out. He's treating you as dear children. This is a key part right here. This trouble you're in isn't punishment, it's training. Everyone say training. It's training. Some of you, by the end of this today, in the next 15 minutes, you're going to be excited about training. You're going to be excited about the challenges, the tough stuff, the painful stuff in life. Instead of running from it, you're going to get excited about it because I'm going to show you something very different about it. It's this trouble you're in isn't punishment, it's training. The normal experience of children. Only irresponsible parents leave children to fend for themselves. Would you prefer an irresponsible God? No. We respect our parents for training and not spoiling us, so why not embrace God's training so we can truly live? While we were children, our parents did what seemed best to them, but God is doing what is best for us, training us to live God's holy best. At the time, discipline isn't much fun. It always feels like it's going against the grain. Who can relate? Yes. It always feels like it's going against the grain. Later, of course, it pays off handsomely for it. So well-trained to find themselves mature in their relationship with God. There's two things. If you only get two things out of this, is what you need to get. God's discipline is training. God's discipline is not punishment. See, the difference is punishment looks backwards to what we have done. Training looks forward to what we are becoming. And it gets even better. Here's the thing. Jesus took all of the punishment for all time, for every human being, when he died on the cross. What happened to Christ when he was whipped, when he was beaten, when he was crucified? That was your punishment and my punishment that Jesus took for all time. God looked into the future. He looked into on July 11th, 2017. He saw the sin. He saw our mistakes. He saw every one of our failings. And he said, right, taking that, it's going on the cross with Jesus almost 2,000 years ago. I'm looking in the future and I'm bringing it to the past. And see, that's why we call it good news. Because it's really good news when someone else takes the punishment that you deserved. That is good news. It would be crazy to not put your trust in the person who did that for you. See, the only way that reality becomes our reality, in other words, all the punishment for all of my sin on Jesus, the only way that becomes my reality is when I put my faith and trust in Jesus and not try to make myself good, not try to live life my own way. See, how crazy would it be when this has been given to us, what Jesus has done for us, if we're like, yeah, no, I'll just kind of live life my way. I'll just kind of do what I want. You know what you're actually saying? By not putting your trust in Jesus, what you're actually saying is, I want to take all of my punishment. I'll take it. I can handle it. How crazy is that? Like, hello. Like crazy. We put our faith and trust in Jesus. He took all the punishment for all time at the cross. There is no punishment left for us. Do you know what's left for us? The greatest compliment God could ever give to you and I, called training. See, God is the ultimate coach. See, imagine if you were an athlete, you just finished a game, and the dream coach came up to you after the game. They were the coach that was known in the whole industry as only coaching the best of the best. And if that coach came up to you and said, I want to coach you, come on. That would be the greatest compliment you could get as an athlete. That would just like blow anything that the cheering of the fans could do for you. It's like being handpicked by the best of the best coaches who only coaches the best of the best, and they come to you and they say, I want to train you. You're like, whoa. Or if you're a musician on The Voice, and all of a sudden, Adam Levine, Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani, Alicia Keys, they are fighting over who's going to coach you. Come on, that is the greatest compliment you could ever receive. Isn't it true? See, when God trains us, it is the greatest compliment you could ever receive because God is the ultimate coach. He's got big things for you and I, and he needs to train us. See, his training, his discipline is preparing because he's got bigger things than what you and I could imagine. He is looking forward to what we will become. Unfortunately, things like training and preparation, there's not too much cheering going on in those seasons. How many of you remember training season when you were maybe in high school, maybe junior high, maybe you're still in, playing sports, and how many of you remember training season? Oh man. I was in a couple different sports. One of them I had to quit because my language became too bad during training season. It's like, this is not good for my soul. The other one, I love track. I ran track because I heard that running gives you nice looking legs. So I'm like, I want to run. I'll just go run. And I actually found out I was actually pretty fast. But training season, when I was in high school in Indiana, started in March, when it was still kind of winter. And if you've ever run outside when it's still kind of winter, it's cold, you're freezing cold, you can hardly move. And there's that weird smell you get when you run. Anybody who runs know what I mean? It's like that weird and that horrid taste in your mouth. It's like runner's mouth. It's like cotton mouth. It's just like, it's disgusting. And training season was painful. You had to go through the training before you could get the other stuff. Yes, not a lot of cheers going on during training season. Everybody was in too much pain. Excited, heck, I can hardly stand up. I can't run. Maybe I can shuffle around the track. You could hardly move. The only thing we were excited about is bed. Training, preparing, Not much cheering going on. But here's the thing. God trains and prepares those he loves. Look at Hebrews 12:6 again. My dear child, don't shrug off God's discipline. Don't shrug off God's training. Don't be crushed by it either. It's the child he loves that he trains. And you know what? Many of you in this room are in training season right now. And this is going to help you so much because you've been wondering, what have I done wrong? Why do I feel like blankety blank blank blank? Why is this so hard? I used to really enjoy my life. I used to find great peace, great ease, great joy, great refreshing walking with Jesus. Why are my prayers not being answered? What the hell is going on? You are not being punished. You are in training because God picks the best to train. He is training you and I. And I'm going to go so far as to say we're in training season as a church. Because when it's training season, it's not just about one athlete. It's about everybody. Some people have an easier time of training season than others. They were the ones that kind of kept training through the year. All us other idiots who didn't do anything through the year and then showed up in March after sitting around for 5-6 months, we're the ones in pain. I can't move. Training is God's greatest compliment to you. He is getting us ready for what we could never do on our own. He's getting us ready for what we could never experience apart from his training in our lives. Hebrews 12:11, at the time, discipline isn't fun. It always feels like it's going against the grain. Later, of course, it pays off handsomely, for it's a well-trained who find themselves mature in their relationship with God. Maturity has its perks. Come on, how many of you grown-ups know this? There are a lot more perks than what you had at 13 years old in junior high. Come on. All of you married people, there's a lot more perks than 13 years old in junior high. But you know what? Unfortunately, most of our culture today is if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. If it's going to be too hard, I don't want any part of it. If it's going to make me uncomfortable, that's not really my thing. That's not really my calling. That's not really my gifting. That's not really my area. But if we bring that way of thinking into our relationship with Jesus Christ, we miss out on all the good stuff. Hebrews 12:11, look at it. Later, it pays off handsomely. See, how do you get the results of training? How do you get the results that training brings? You stay in the training program. Hebrews 12:11. At the time, training isn't much fun. It always feels like it's going against the grain. But later, everyone say later. Later, it pays off handsomely. For it's the well-trained who find themselves mature in their relationship with God. Later, it pays off. How many of you know later is rarely quick? All parents, you know this. Later, when I get around to it. God's not like that. But here's the thing. You might be tempted to sit out training right now. You might be tempted to stop and stay put because what's happened, you've actually experienced a lot of growth. You've experienced a lot of change in your life. You know you are not that person you were 10, 20, 15, 30 years ago. You know that you're redeemed through Jesus Christ. You know that you're forgiven. You got a great church. You have great friends. Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of good right now. I think I'm just going to stop. Just going to sit out right now. I got everything I need. I'm doing pretty good in life. It's going to take it easy. But if you stop moving, if you stop the program, if you stop training, you miss out. what do you miss out on? You miss out on a lot of good stuff. Back to training program, back to training day. How many of you remember? Day 3, worst day. Especially when you were in volleyball after doing like squats against the wall. It's just like, my thighs don't move. I can't move any faster than this. Day 3, everybody is hobbling around like an old grandpa who can't move. And you're just like, don't make me, I can't sit down. This hurts too bad. I think I'll just lean here. Can't I just lean? I'll just sit out here. Isn't there benefits in sitting? Please? I can't even sit either. I think I'll just lean. Come on, day 3 is hell. It hurts. You're walking more like the Tin Man than somebody of strength. You know, sometimes we feel like that in our journey with Jesus. We feel like we're walking more like the Tin Man. This used to be easy and it's so hard now. Why can't I do this? Why do I not have the energy I used to have? But you stay with it. Day 7, mobility is back. Day 10, you're running farther than what you were on day 1. Day 14, you are lifting more weights than what you did on day 1. Definitely more than on day 3. And you know what? By day 21, you are kicking butt on the track. By day 21, your hits are taking the heads off the people in the back row because you were so much stronger, because you stayed in the program, because you stayed in the training program. How do we keep moving forward? Here is the answer. Hebrews 12, 2-3. Keep your eyes on Jesus, who both began and finished this race we're in. Study how he did it, because he never lost sight of where he was headed. The exhilarating finish in and with God. He could put up with anything along the way. Cross, shame, whatever. And you know what you put in whatever? Your whatever. Now he's there in the place of honor, right alongside God. When you find yourself flagging in your faith, go over that story again, item by item, that long litany of hostility he plowed through. That will shoot adrenaline into your souls. How do you get the results? How do you keep moving forward? You stay focused on Jesus and you go over the story line by line. What story? This story. This is the story. It is a one-sentence story that'll change your life. This is the story you go over and over and over again. Because of Jesus, everything is right between me and God. Because of Jesus, everything is right between me and God. We are not being punished. We are being prepared. That's the story we tell ourselves, even if it doesn't feel right. I hate training season. Even if it doesn't look right. Yes, I look like a failure. This looks like a bad mess. This looks like the worst possible scenario I could be in right now. This looks hopeless. This looks like it's never going to come together. This looks like it's going to go on and on and on and on, and it's never going to change. No matter what it looks like, everything is right between me and God. Even though it doesn't feel right, it doesn't look right, it is right because of what Jesus Christ has done, not because of what you and I have accomplished on our own. That's what shoots adrenaline into your souls, not a 10-point program for how to be a better person. I focus on Jesus and I retell the story. See, this is why community is so important, why you can't live your life, you can't live out faith in isolation. Here's the stats. I'm going to tell you the stats. There was a study done by a group in the States, and they found out what is the number one qualifying element for people staying in the faith, following Jesus long term for the rest of their life. What is the number one quality for spiritual growth? It has everything to do with how many friends they have in the house of God who are running with them. Here's the stat. If you have 3 friends or less, 3 good friends or less in the house of God, your odds in staying with Jesus over the long term are against you. But if you have 4 to 7 good friends in the house of God, the odds are stacked in your favor that you will most likely stay in the course of your journey with Jesus for the rest of your life. Why is community important? Come on, when you were in training season, if you were never in training season, this is what makes training season durable or endurable. Endurable, is that right? Yeah, whatever, something like that. You had friends with you. You had teammates that weren't gonna let you quit. You had teammates saying, get in here, come on, get your butt off, I'll pull you up and we will shuffle around the track together. You can do this. And when you're in training season, this is what community is for. You grab a friend and you take them out for coffee and you say, I just need to tell you this and I need you to tell me this, that everything is right between me and God. I am loved. I am chosen. I am not being punished. This is not punishment. This is preparation. God is preparing me because he loves me. He is preparing me because he's got good things for us. He is doing something great no matter how it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. I know it is right because everything is right between me and God. We need to tell each other that story over and over and over and over because that is the only thing that gives us endurance. Let's stand. I want to pray. Let's close our eyes and I want to just, I'm not even going to ask who's in training right now because I have a feeling a majority of us are. And so we're just going to pray this prayer together. Just say, Jesus, thank you that you took all the punishment for me for all time at the cross. Thank you that you've given me your life, your strength, your ability. I say yes to following you. And I say yes to your training. Jesus, help me to keep my eyes fixed on you and to keep telling the story of what you've done. Thank you. God, I just pray especially, Father, for those right now that are in the thick of it. It is day 3 of training season and everything hurts so bad. Nothing looks like it's gonna work again. Nothing feels right. And God, right now, I just declare supernatural grace. God, let the adrenaline of your Holy Spirit begin to invigorate people. Father, begin to strengthen people. God, even wake us up, God, to have a whole new picture of what Jesus has done for us. God, would you remind us of the story over and over and over again? God, we thank you that there is nothing more that we could ever do to make ourselves more right with you. Jesus, you have done it all, and we give you thanks and praise. Come on, church, let's give him praise. Can we do that? Can we thank him? God, we thank you. We thank you. There's nothing more that we can do to make ourselves any better. But God, you're training us because you love us. And we say yes. Amen. Amen.
We hope today's message encouraged you. If you want to take your next step in saying yes to Jesus, you can always contact us at cty.lc or fill out the next step section on the City Life app. It's an honor as a church to play just a small part in what God is doing in your life. And we look forward to seeing you soon here at City Life.